Hi everybody, I thought I'd just run a quick eye over exercise 2.5, which was giving a few people a bit of trouble. Where it's giving a couple of people trouble, generally it's giving a lot of people trouble. So I thought I'd just go over it. Now here I've inputted the data, so it was just in raw form in the textbook, and I've just hand inputted it there. Our first problem is to solve the number of classes that we need to have. Now in this case we were directed to use the 2 to the k greater than or equal to n rule. In this case n is equal to 60. Now, sorry, that's just me messing around. What I did was to solve this quite simply is I made a column with k and a column with 2 to the power of k. So here we have 1, 2, 3 all the way down to 12, and here the formula for this one is just 2 to the power of the one to the left hand side here. And what we can see pretty easily is that 2 to the power of k, 2 to the power of 6 is 64, which is the closest to 60 while still being larger. So we'll choose 6 classes. Next we need to work on class width. So class width is described as the maximum minus the minimum, all in brackets, divided by k. In this case, the minimum here is A2 to A61, and that's 0, and the maximum is A2 to A61, so maximum of that's 17. If we plug that into our formula with brackets, now this is an exam tip. Someone is going to get this wrong in an exam because they'll forget to put the brackets in. If we plug that in, we have the most ridiculous bin width ever, which is 2.833 repeater, so I'm rounding that up to 3. Our next issue is to create the bins. Now I think this is where this is giving most people an issue. In practicality, just forget about the others for the moment, we know that we want to go from the minimum up in steps of 3. So practically speaking, we want 0 to 2.999, 3 to 5.999, and so on, up to 16 to 8.999, which will encompass the maximum. Now, the solution that's been given to you in the solutions document assumes that all of these numbers are integers, which is the case here, that there is there's no decimals at all occurring. So they've put down the bin solution as 0 to 2, 3 to 5, 6 to 8, and so forth. That's fine, but it won't work for Excel. Now the instructions that we have for Excel in the textbook are Excel 2010. For a lot of us that's quite outdated. I'm using Excel 365, so I'll show you how I do that on a Mac. It should be pretty similar if you're using an up-to-date version. So these are the bins I've used here, and you can see that they are actually the maximum in this bin solution over here. Okay, it took me a while to work out what the best solution was, but that's what they're doing. Okay, so I've got 2, then up in steps of 3, 5, 8, 11, 14, and 17. So it was the maximum of this one over here. So to do this, now the instructions in the textbook are outdated. We go to Tools and down to Data Analysis. If you don't see Data Analysis down here, you need to come into the add-ins and add the Analysis Toolpak, which you can see I've already got in here. Okay, so we go to Tools, Data Analysis. We go to Histogram. There's a few options there. If you don't have it, it's all in alphabetical order, histogram. Okay, I'm going to input my data. Okay, A1 to A61 and bins. There we go. Oops, that's not it. Okay, I've messed up good. Sorry about that. Okay, I'm not going to include labels here. So A2 to A61 and F33 down to F38. I'm going to use a new worksheet because that makes it easier. I'm going to include cumulative percentage because that's convenient with chart output. Now, here is my chart. First things first, never ever ever present anything to anybody that's the size of a credit card. Okay, big graphs please. Now it is an article of statistics faith that histograms always have no gaps between the bars. So if I double click, I can come down here to gap width and bring that back to 0. Now we have a proper histogram. We need a title. I don't know what this data is, so I guess histogram's going to have to do as a title, but titles please. Now here we have the frequency distribution. Fingers crossed it matches the one that's given to us in solutions. 6, 13, 20, 14, 5 and 2. Fantastic. Now if we wanted to have, say, relative frequency. All we need to do is take the absolute frequency and divide it by the total. In this case, that would be 60. I'll just cut and copy it all the way down here, so I'll mark that as relative frequency. Now, if you wanted to have relative cumulative frequency, okay, all you have to do is start with the first one is by itself because there's nothing to add it to, and then in each cell we take the one before and add the one to the left. Okay, and then I cut and copy them all the way down there, and it adds to 1. By presenting this line is completely useless. I do like a total line though, so we'll do that sum of these figures. Now that one will be 60. If we go across, the others should be 1. Now a cumulative frequency doesn't make any sense to add up because the 100% is already there. Okay, so both of these can go off. Just merge that. I do have opinions about Excel, I'm afraid. Now these look terrible, so I'm going to go Control 1 and declare them to be percentages. And they look much better. If I want to finish this off, I will put a top and bottom line there, and I think one underneath as well. So let's just wrap the text so we can see it appropriately and center that. And bingo, we have a histogram, we have a frequency, relative frequency, cumulative percentage, and cumulative relative frequency. Look what I've done here, that's not a relative cumulative frequency, all I've done is a cumulative frequency, which is a cumulative, this one is actually relative cumulative frequency. There you go, I know how to calculate that, that's fantastic. If you want to do a cumulative frequency, on the other hand, which is not relative, all you do is start with the first one, and then for every one after, it's the one before plus the one after, the one to the left rather, and we have our cumulative frequency. Again, we don't bother trying to do a summation down here because we've already got to the total. So you can see the difference between cumulative frequency and relative cumulative frequency there, and frequency versus relative frequency. Alright, thank you very much. I hope that clears up some confusion for everybody. Please do ask me if there's any further questions.